All right, and that was the backflash. And stemming from that, Ills was actually a little bit injured, and actually one of his wounds festered, particularly the wound in his leg, into a point he required like extended care. He didn't die from it, but he did require extended care, and there was a little bit of muscle damage, so a little bit of rehabilitation. So the reason for him not being on this mission is actually a crippling wound, which rendered him unable to go on the mission. Enter Sartak. So, I'm glad you have all joined me here in the briefing room, and I'm quite sure you're all ready for the next leg of your challenge. 3 months is a long time to be spending in interstellar space, but hopefully you haven't let your muscles grow soft with time. And Cullen, who's standing behind the Inquisitor, kind of lets out a little chuckle and glances straight at Zell.
I tense my bulging muscles from months of training.
But very well, we have business to attend to, and you five will attend Cullen and myself when we are planet-side. We have what could possibly be a mission, but we have grave tidings coming from Disolium, particularly from the Apex Court, and I'm not too sure in the details myself, and I'm going to keep some of those details to myself, but we will see what the situation is when we get there. For right now, I would like you to please welcome your new comrade in arms. I believe I believe Ills was injured and you required a replacement. This is what I have procured. And then he kind of nods to Sartak, and then he stands up from his chair, and he and Cullen kind of leave the room. Okay? So this would be a good time for Sartak to do like an introduction of the character.
Okay.
You can do it out of character if you want. You don't need to do it in character.
Cool, because I don't know how I'd introduce myself in character. So Sartak is another Adeptus Arbiter. He hails from a agri world, Nova Bellum. And he's a huge brute of a man, just over 2 meters and around like 110 kilograms, and it's mostly muscle and scar. And he carries with him a great axe, mostly strapped to his back, and seems to spend a lot of his time on the ship practicing with that great axe. He seems a little unbalanced at times, as you can't quite make out what to think of him. He tends to be reserved most of the time, doesn't offer a lot about himself or talk too much, kind of keeps to himself mostly besides the training. But when he's training, you see things like, the mechanist priests running in after his training to deal with the mangled corpses, well, not quite corpses, the mangled remains of the combat servitors that he's training with. And he seems almost tends to do continued violence as these priests run in to essentially just repair the equipment that he's near. There's a couple of discrepancies in him and his character from your perspective. You guys we as a group are a warband trained to be ferreting out information, and there's some things that stand out. He's from an agri world. Agri-worlders don't tend to travel very much. There doesn't tend to be a lot of them out and about in the general Imperium. And furthermore, he's much too big and healthy to really be from what you guys consider a normal agri-world environment, in the sense that these people are workers, and they suffer for their work. They don't tend to reap the rewards of harvesting these materials that are exported. And he seems to have he's been having his nutrition since an early age, or he wouldn't quite be as big as he happens to be. So you're not quite sure what to make of that group as a whole, that compilation of information as a whole, but he's been introduced as being joined into your party by your superior, so you kind of are stuck with him for now. Does that work, Saltair?
How old is he?
How old is he? He's in his mid-30s. Okay. So he's quite a bit older than Ills.
I laugh and say, it looks like I found Ills' dad.
Sartak looks at you and quietly responds with, well, after what Ills did to you, you'll hate to see what his dad will do to you.
Correct. So
Any
yeah.
other questions for Sartak?
So never mind. Didn't want to say anything extra.
Why did you do? Why did you join the Inquisition?
I am following the orders given to me by my what do I call the background? What is an Adeptus? My organization, my group,
Arbitus.
yeah. Okay, Arbitus. Yeah, no, but what?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm following orders.
Will
We
you
all
follow
are,
Al?
really.
So what are you good at?
He kind of
As if it weren't
he kind of
obvious.
laughs and looks over his shoulder, just like briefly at his great axe, and says, "I have some limited skill in combat, and my background and training has given me some ability to read people and ferret out information that might be useful."
Oh, so you don't just smash?
He also bashes.
I like to think I'm a man of many talents.
Sure.
All right.
Maiming and slaughtering.
Nice.
So now that you guys have become firmly acquainted, it was late in the evening and it goes into the night cycle and you all retire for the evening. But you're all summoned quite early the next morning and you're all up and ready, as was your command, and told to muster in the flight deck. Are there any last minute goodbyes that you guys make before you head to the flight deck?
I go and see his chick who I've been banging on the side before I get in there and just say a cheeky goodbye.
To whom? Sorry?
The
was
crazy
Tonya.
Medicare woman. Tonya, that's the one.
You wish,
Are we gonna retcon this thing?
you wish,
Eventually.
boy. You wish,
She,
boy.
You wish.
she gives a little giggle. She's like,
Actually,
Take
I think
care of
this makes
yourself.
some sense. Billy had reason to be in the medbay after the
It does.
initial encounter with
Yeah.
Nils, and there was some bonding, some time alone in space. Who knows?
One
what
thing led
happens.
to another, and
Isn't she supposed to be difficult or dangerous
Dangerous.
or both?
yeah, but the time you guys have spent on board, she's kind of mellowed a little bit to your presence, particularly to Zell's, in his constant presence within the medbay, although she does kind of pity you for losing such a fight.
Fuck
Things
my
have,
life.
in the medbay have been a little bit tense, with Zell and Ills in the same room for such a long period of time. But with Perrin making regular visits to the infirmary and performing maintenance on Tonya's machines, Tonya's actually warmed very, very well to.
And I helped
To
out
his-
with the extended care.
Yeah, this is a very incestuous little group, huh?
Gundrum has also been of particular interest, but more from a friendship point of view.
Reading her mind led to a
And for the
very
drugs.
clear
I
no.
need the drugs.
Yeah. Also, he has a particular aptitude towards the the medical side of things. So yeah, they have an affinity there. So what about what's Red? What about Red? What's she?
Red doesn't say
do-
goodbye.
To nobody.
I see by the
nobody-
Maximilian.
Ills,
Sorry?
you just happen as you walk by to see Ills quietly sobbing in the corner. a total lack of
Oh,
caring
poor
from
Ills.
his fellow adventurers.
Okay, well, she'll come over and say goodbye to Ills. Pat him on the shoulder and...
Okay, so Gundrum, you say goodbye to Maximilian.
Yeah.
All right,
Sure.
all right. You and he have also built quite a rapport between yourselves. He kind of appreciates that you haven't been seeking out his services within the armory just purely for, brute strength and physicality, because you've actually been asking for a lot of materials and lesser known substances and things, and you've actually shown him a couple of ways to improve the efficiency of the way the armory has been kept. And there's a little bit of a rapport having been built there as well.
Good on you, Gundrum.
Thank you.
Sartak has only been he actually joined on Hive when they were at Juno. But you haven't seen him up to this point. He hasn't been in your section of the ship.
Were there very many
What?
people hanging, to meet in the refectory and so on,
Not at
besides
this-
just us.
The only other person there was Thomas Drake,
The
Yeah.
priest dude.
the priesthood, who actually followed you guys towards the flight deck to kind of wish you sort of the Emperor's
Is
blessings.
that like anyone serving
What?
us food in the refectory, like the cookhouse?
No, it's actually automated machines,
Oh,
like in
okay.
the Matrix on the ship.
Oh,
Good-
I thought you could
comes
do
out.
the Scottish waitress
the
thing again.
Waitress again. Well, we can do a mechanical waitress. We can say she has them. Like, all right, there, sonny Jimmin.
Oh my God. Where's the
Come
mute
in,
button?
come in. Have yourself. Go and get yourself seated. Elbows off the table.
Yikes!
All right.
It's devolved quickly.
All right. Well,
So
if
you're
there's
like-
like if there's really like no one else to interact with besides the party and like the people who work here,
Currently.
Red is lonely as shit. She doesn't like being alone. She's very excited to go to an actual planet with actual people.
Religious guys.
Well, what's he like? I mean, she'll talk to anyone.
All right. So part of the refectory idea is that it's a sort of barracks for you guys. If you find any interesting characters whom you might deem as useful or particularly resourceful within your journey, you can actually somewhat recruit them back to the Reliant Dawn, perhaps as a reinforcement character for a future endeavor. Currently,
We do have
you
to
only
spend
have...
our influence points for those.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
It's minimal though, because these are more realistic characters than the ones in the book. Like the ones in the book are like fucking Deathwatch Space Marine, which is like ridiculous. These ones are actually much more reasonable. They have actually reasonable stats, and but there would still be an influence penalty should you choose to use them. And currently, the only reinforcement character you have is Kulin. The Inquisitor, he dispatches you on missions which he thinks you should be able to handle for yourself, so requiring aid from the ship would come with specific penalties, or costs, we'll call them costs. But regardless, so you guys head to the flight deck.
Oh,
and,
me! You forgot about me.
Okay, good. Aaron, what do you do?
First I go to my workshop and say my prayers to the tech cards. And then I go to
The
Ils.
Omnisire.
Yeah, and then go to Ils and say, I will try to find a bionic leg for you so you can finish Cell.
Ills loves the idea of cybernetic enhancements as a whole. He's totally jealous and envious of yours, so he's pretty excited by that. It kind of perks him up a little bit after the kind of cold goodbye from the rest of the party.
And then he pats him on the back and says, okay, I hope you get better.
Well, do we get like rations and everything?
Yeah, you guys will be fully stocked up before you go.
Okay.
But we're going also, if we're going to a civilized planet,
Yeah,
no big
it's not like you're going to a jungle planet or anything.
Zal expresses his disappointment about another civilized planet.
You guessed wrong, bitch. All right. So, you up to the flight deck, Thomas Drake in tow. He wishes the Emperor's blessings upon you, and you all.
Wait, what is Thomas Drake like? I'm just trying to figure out if Red would
He's-
decide to hang
he's-
out with him at all.
He's quite a young guy. He's like maybe 25 years old. You think he's actually really. He has quite a pragmatic approach to the clergy. He's not like fully dogmatic about it, but he sees the value in prayer and has had his own sort of visions and physical manifestations of what he believed are the Emperor's will. So that's why he became pretty reasonably pious. He's not fanatically pious, but he's reasonable, and he enjoys a drink as well. So he's not exactly clean cut.
Oh, okay, done.
All right. Flight deck, you all meet with Lieutenant Antaro Korvath, who is standing there with the best posture you could ever imagine a soldier has, and greets Inquisitor Matoya with a salute, and has the Arvis lighter prepped and ready. You all board and get out of town, and you head towards Hive Desoleum. So the flight itself on board the Arvis Lighter would take roughly 7 or 8 hours. It's pretty boring on the Arvis Lighter. There's not much to do, so it's just like sitting around and jibber-jabbing with each other and doing whatever you like. Is there anything specific you guys want to be doing while on the Arvis Lighter?
Let's play some cards.
Okay. Zell
Do you have
attempts to cheat at cards, and everyone else spots him.
Whoa, I didn't even roll for that.
Okay.
Do you have sleight of hand?
I do have sleight of hand.
Roll me a sleight
And
of hand.
deceive. So,
So do I, though.
What is the actual skill test? Oh, it
I
is
think it's Agi.
sleight of hand. Yeah, it's on agility.
I will
I fail miserably.
Oh yeah, everybody sees it. It would actually be an opposed test, so everybody else roll me an awareness test.
I will have my Auspex set ready because I know
Is this awareness
Phil
or
is not trustworthy.
It's just like watching him with a fucking PDA.
Yep.
I am recording everything you do.
I don't trust that guy.
Oh yeah, Zell is probably the worst hustler you've ever encountered.
I am saying I wasn't cheating. I just dropped my cards in an attempt to deceive them.
Next time we're on the ship, I can show you a few tricks.
Okay, so you guys you clean your guns, you pick up your drop cards, and you fuss about with various poisons and medicines that you've got. You muddle about with your Auspex, make sure it's calibrated properly, and you head down towards the planet. And you land at Port Ferrum 16. And as you land, you all feel, because none of you are particularly used to interstellar travel, you all feel particularly queasy at this point in time. Would you all please roll me a toughness test?
Really?
Does survival have any impact on this? Like,
Yes, if you've got survival, you can get a... Well,
What's my fucking
what would survival
What
be?
did you say you wanted us to roll? Sorry.
toughness?
Toughness.
Toughness. Billy, you can choose to roll against perception or toughness, whichever one's lower for you.
okay. Oh,
Do I get...
that's a
Any
success.
bonus
If
for
I
being-
roll exactly 40,
That's a success.
awesome.
Okay, so for the most part, this is a pretty routine entry into the planet, but for Sartak and for Red, you guys actually feel pretty ill. Red, you just feel slightly lightheaded, so you take 1 point of fatigue damage.
Oh, Red, I thought you liked crowds.
Yeah, but
And-
spaceships are different.
And Sartak, you actually look like you're about to fucking die. You've hurled up your breakfast that really didn't sit well with you, and you take 2 points of fatigue damage.
Is fatigue in a certain place on our character sheet, or do we just need to note it down somewhere?
So with fatigue, you have a fatigue threshold. The fatigue threshold is your toughness bonus plus your willpower bonus. When you reach your fatigue threshold, usually it'll be about 7 or 8, you pass out and you require extended rest.
Can I
Okay.
reduce its fatigue somehow?
And how often does fatigue reduce?
Let me look into it.
I have
If
some
I,
back. Recap. I have recap. I should have some recap.
I would love
don't know
some.
if recap would make you feel...
It does.
Much
It reduces toughness, or I mean, reduces fatigue by 1 level, right?
Oh, okay.
Yay. And I did say I wanted to stock out on that. Did I? Yeah, I did.
I would have done
Fatigue
that
goes away
too.
over time. Each hour of normal rest, without any combat use of psychic powers or other strenuous activity, removes 1 level of fatigue. So you'd actually need to be resting for 1 hour. And 6 consecutive hours removes all fatigue.
So I give Filthy. I give I need to get used to his name. Sartek a recap to drink.
Does that work
So that's
for
one.
this
you,
kind
Gander.
of fatigue?
Yeah, I'll say it does.
Okay,
Does
cool.
fatigue have any effect on like battle and things? Like any?
It does
It
if it
can.
gets high
Modifiers.
enough, I think.
Yeah, if it gets high enough, you can actually pass out, and that's really bad. And if it gets really, really bad, you your character can actually die from it as well. If it's, I think it's twice your fatigue threshold.
Okay, so I'll drink some recaf and shoulder through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So as you disembark from the lighter, Lieutenant Korvath once again gives you a quick salute, and kind of starts ordering the Mechanicus and the servitors exactly what to do with the lighter. You get the impression he's like really possessive of this lighter, like it is essentially his life, and he takes great pride in it. And there's a vehicle waiting for you, another land speeder, but it's actually got an extended hull for carrying more people. And as I mentioned, you're in Port Ferrum 16, and Cullen takes the reins of said vehicle and decides to take you to the Apex Court. So Port Ferrum 16 would actually be not in the upper hive, but certainly in the upper echelons of the hive. So it would take you about 2 hours of travel to get up to the hive. During those 2 hours, your fatigue would have been relieved if you weren't being strenuous or doing, I don't know, anything particularly intensive. So after 2 hours, you notice that the surroundings are getting far less cramped and a little more luxurious. You're starting to see even things like woods decorating buildings and things like that. And you can actually see the sky as well, which is quite the thing for a couple of you, particularly Red, who has very rarely seen the sky.
Yep.
And as you arrive at the Apex Court, the land speeder is docked in an appropriate place, and you walk up these sort of gilt gold staircase. It's about 200 steps. Very grand, very austere. Not austere. What's the word? Ostentatious. And as you get to the top, there is a guard there, a member of the Adeptus Arbites, you presume, or certainly in Enforcer Carapace. He's standing there. He's like, "Check all weapons. No weapons allowed inside the court."
Are
I
you
look
sure?
at him really.
Cullen walks up and unholsters, takes off his great spear and lays it down. Also detaches his combat shotgun. Also puts that. He seems nonplussed by this action. He seems routine almost to him. So he puts his
I'll
weapons
follow
down.
suit. I remove my great axe
Okay.
and my
I'll
shotgun.
hand over my gun and my laser sword, attempt to use sleight of hand to conceal my auto pistol thing. Auto gun thing.
Give me a sleight of hand check.
Well, I still have my psycho powers, so
I succeed.
All right, give me a second.
You succeeded
Okay.
really well.
So what was he
I would
concealing? A las pistol?
No, auto pistol. Whatever the auto version of the last pistol is, can't put.
The auto pistol. I'd like
Auto
to do
pistol.
the same thing, but for my chain blade. So I'm handing over an auto pistol, a sniper rifle, a stub revolver, a las pistol.
The guard is looking at you. Where the fuck are all these weapons coming from?
But yeah, I want to hopefully keep my chain blade on me just in
Chain blade?
case. Yeah,
I
chain
don't-
blade.
So I only need to hand him my weapons, right? I don't have to hand him my sight focus or anything along those lines.
He wouldn't know what psi focus is, like, if you showed it to him.
Okay, so
What is
I
your
just hand
sight
him.
focus?
Oh, he has no idea that I have this chain blade.
These
Jesus
ones.
Christ!
Wow! You guys all using your wands now? Really?
Okay, he doesn't see that either. So, sorry, Gundram, what is your psi focus?
My bracelet.
Oh, that's right, your bracelet. Okay. No, it just looks like a normal bracelet to him. There's nothing remarkable about it. So you get to keep that on your person.
Okay, so I passed in my las pistol, my long las, and my shotgun.
Okay. And Perrin?
Yeah, I just give all my weapons up. Well, my hand cannon and my shotgun.
Okay.
Do you have anything else?
Nope. Everything else is mostly harmless.
Oh, do I need to give over a shield? Does shield count as a weapon or not?
Yeah,
It does, doesn't it? I go with the shield.
Do I keep my whip?
Your what, sorry?
My whip.
Yes, you
I have a
that.
whip. Okay, so I'm passing my whip as well.
Okay. So finally, Inquisitor Matoya steps up, and this is the first time you notice he kind of pulls back his trench coat. And there's a very long samurai, like a katana type weapon.
A katana?
Katana, yeah. Katana. And he holds it out for the guard, but then displays his inquisitorial rosette. And the guard says to him, "Turn it on." And he takes it in one hand and presses a button on the hilt, and it's not
the sword.
Of the sword, and it's not blue lightning that comes up it, but it's certainly like if you look at the sword in your peripheral vision, you see there's definitely a blue glow coming from it. But if you look directly at it, you can't really identify it. Right? The guard nods to him, and the Inquisitor reholsters the weapon and walks through. So you all walk through, and there's another guard just ahead. He says, "I'm sorry, folks. Currently the court is in session. You're not allowed in. Please wait 15 minutes, and court will be adjourned." So, do you want to wait 15 minutes, or?
I mean, I just look at the Inquisitor and see what he decides he wants to do.
Okay, so Matoya didn't even really register that he had said anything. He just kind of went over to a sort of set of very luxurious pews, almost very cushioned seats. Goes over and sits down there and starts talking with Cullen, who follows suit. There aren't really any other seats that are close by him.
Are we in some kind of like foyer or like
basically
narthex or
like
something?
a courtroom foyer. It's very grand, sort of marbled floors, massive chandelier in the middle of it, like way over the top, sort of just a display of grandeur that they've got going on.
Red's like staring at everything.
Yeah, and there's every door is made of like really, really high quality wood, which is a particularly rare material on a hive world. So the two of them are sort of sitting down. Your options would be, go ahead.
Yeah, and I asked the guy who's presiding over the proceedings today.
The court, there is no presider. There's nobody presiding over the proceedings. Quite simply, we have the prime nobles, and they're discussing with the lesser nobles what exactly we should be doing. It's just the usual stuff, really. They just discuss a load of old bollocks.
Ours like touching all of the doors and shit.
You get the impression that the guard doesn't like, because he's Adeptus Arbites, so he's not just like a normal bodyguard or anything, but he's very nonplussed by the nobles. He's not particularly impressed.
So do you know what they're discussing today, by any chance?
He doesn't know. They sort of discuss whatever. And so at this point, Inquisitor Matoya stands up and walks over and says, "Could you tell Lord Ashfort, when court is adjourned, that we have arrived, and we will greet him in room 624. And the guard says, "Right you are, sir, no problem. 624. And then Matoya beckons you all to follow him, and you all do end up in room 624. After about 30 minutes, there comes a knock at the door, and you're all within this room. It's sort of like a conference room type thing. It's not a hotel room as you were expecting. Conference room type thing. and everyone kind of stands on edge, but you all realize you've got no weapons on you. Zell,
Some of us may or may not have daggers strapped to our thighs.
Zell and Ara, give me what would be best for this? Give me a willpower test.
Willpower?
Oh no, anything
Oh,
like
my
that.
willpower's awful.
You guys are gonna draw the weapon.
Did you just pick the one we're both worst at?
No, I'm using logic for this.
That is literally my worst stat apart from influence.
Roll it, Zell.
Sorry. Oh, I succeeded.
All right. So Zell manages to hold his nerve, but Red's hand instinctively goes towards her chest where Chainblade is, but she catches herself before it goes anywhere. But there is a chance that people did notice such a sudden movement. But everyone is kind of standing on edge and like looking towards the door. Matoya walks over towards the door, opens the door, and this he's extremely short. Like he's maybe like he's less than 5 feet. He's like
Shorter than...
4 foot-
Oh my
within
god,
the
he's
4 foot
shorter
10.
than Red.
Okay, like he's really short, and he's got an unnaturally high-pitched voice as well, which I could try and replicate, but it would be... Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Inquisitor,
That sounds like a
it's good
granny.
to see you again.
Everyone
Is
is
this the
friend-
Lord?
And Inquisitor Matoya goes up to him and says, Lord Ashford, this has been a long time. And they kind of embrace. And the Inquisitor says, So, what exactly seems to be troubling you, my lord? He says, back to Ashford, and says, well, there's a noble, right? He's one of the lesser nobles. And his name is Lance Gorgian. Now, normally we don't really pay attention to him. He's one of I would say he's one of the lesser nobles. But recently, he's been coming to court a little bit dishevelled. We're not terribly sure what was going on. Normally we wouldn't pay attention to something like that. But there have been even bigger problems. We've had a recent flurry of activity in the trading of Xenos artifacts. And Matoya says, Xenos artifacts, and you suspect that this Gul'jan is involved in this trade? And Ashford says, I'm not really sure. I'm one of the upper nobles, so I can't really get access to him without arousing suspicion. However, there are some others you might be able to speak to.
Can I do a telepathic link to see how this Lance Gorgon looks like?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Also, can you spell his name for me, please?